Hi everyone, welcome to our channel BA Civil Engineer. In this video, we are going to discuss about megascopic and microscopic properties of rocks, especially about igneous rocks. So, among the igneous rocks, we are having so many varieties of igneous rocks. Mainly, if we see, granite is one of the major igneous rock which was available plenty in the world. Along with granite, we are having basalt, pegmatite. All these are igneous rocks. So we are going to study in this video about all these igneous rocks in a detailed manner. What are the minerals present in these igneous rocks, and what is the composition of these igneous rocks? Similarly, what are the uses of these igneous rocks? These rocks are having very much and vast uses around the world. They are used as a building material, they are used as a construction material, or they are used as a building block. They are used as a flooring material for flooring purpose. Similarly, they are used as a decorative material. Similarly, these minerals or these rocks are having another advantage is that they can be used as a mineral deposits or mineral ores. So we will go deep into it and we will see how and what are the composition and what is the petroscopic properties of these igneous rocks in a detail in this video. Now coming to granite. So granite is the plutonic igneous rock because it is formed due to solidification of magma at a greater depth. Plutonic, similarly hyperbasal igneous rocks are there. Next, plutonic igneous rocks means the igneous rocks which were available at a greater depth. Those rocks are called plutonic igneous rocks. So here granite comes under this plutonic igneous rock. Why? Because these rocks are formed by solidification of magma at a greater depth below the ground level. Next, if you see, it is a hollow crystalline and leucocritic rock because it is completely crystalline and light colored rock. So color wise, if you see, these granites are leucocritic rocks, means light colored rocks. The color of the granite will be white color or gray color or light pinkish color. So the color of the igneous rock is very light color. So it is why so that is the reason it is called leucocritic rock. Next one, hollow crystalline means completely not crystalline and completely not solidified. Partially it will be there. So it is hollow crystalline rock and a leucocritic rock. Because of the color, we can say it as a leucocritic rock. Granites, we are talking about the megascopic and microscopic properties of granite only here. So in granite, if you see, it is a hollow crystalline and leucocritic rock. Next, coming to the minerals, what are the minerals present in this granite? If you see, granite is composed of mainly primary minerals. Among these feldspar and quartz. Among these feldspar and quartz are the primary minerals or essential minerals which are available in this granite. So what is this essential minerals and what is this accessory minerals? So two types of minerals are we can categorize into two types, essential minerals and accessory minerals. So what is this essential minerals means without these essential minerals we cannot say that it is a granite or it is a pegmatite or it is a basalt. So means the minerals which should be present in that particular rock to say that it is a particular type of rock or to say that it is a particular family of rock. So those minerals are called essential minerals. Another one are the accessory minerals which may be present or which may not be present in all kinds of rocks. Means for example, if you take granite which was available in some place, it may have some accessory minerals. If you take granite from another place, it may not have that accessory minerals present in this granite. Both are granite, but they may not have all these accessory minerals. So essential minerals means they are not like that. In order to say it is a granite, it should have definitely that essential minerals. Means quartz and feldspar, if they were present, then only we can say it is a granite. If quartz and feldspar were absent in that mineral or absent in that particular rock, then we cannot say that it is a granite. So these two minerals are essential to identify it as a granite. So those minerals are called essential minerals. So coming to the accessory minerals, hornblende and biodite. Hornblende and biodite are the accessory minerals. These two are accessory minerals. They may be present in some varieties and they may not be present in some other varieties. So quartz grains are usually spherical in shape and are white to grayish color. So among these quartz and feldspar, if you see, quartz grains are most of the time they will be available as a spherical in shape and white to grayish color. So those are quartz particles or quartz grains. So here you can see on the figure, this is the sample of granite, coarse grain granite, where we can see feldspar, which is pinkish color. Here you can see it is pinkish in color, and the white portion what was there, that is quartz. The white portion, whiter portion what was there, that is quartz, and the black portion what was there is the biodite. Next, along with this quartz grains, feldspars are another materials or the minerals which are present in this granite among the essential minerals. So coming to this feldspar grains are mostly potassium and sodium rich varieties with individual rectangular shaped grains. So the grains which was available in this granite, if you see, the feldspar grains will be rectangular in shape, whereas quartz will be circular in shape or spherical in shape. The color of these feldspar may be white, sometimes gray, sometimes pinkish color, depending upon the type of the feldspar available there. So based on that, the color of the feldspar is going to change in that particular variety of granite. So now coming to the structure, what is the structure of this granite? So if you see the structure of the granite is it is a compact arrangement. It is a compact structure, dense, massive and hard rock. It is a hardest rock, and mural joints occur in the stone, dividing the rock into number of rectangular blocks, thereby facilitating the quarrying process. So this granite is available in compact, dense and massive and hard rock nature, but mural joints occur in some, dividing the rock into number of rectangular blocks. So when we are giving pressure, these mural joints are going to get developed in the body of the rock, which are useful here for quarrying purpose. For easy quarrying purpose, these are very useful. So next one, texture. If you come into the texture of the granite, if you see, granites typically exhibit an interlocking texture, coarse grain texture and interlocking texture. So grains are closely packed and coarse grain texture, coarse grain particles are available. The particle size, if you see, they are coarser in particles, and interlocking arrangement is possible. That is the reason densely packed arrangement, and we have seen in the structure compact and dense and massive arrangement is there. So that is the reason why, because the texture is interlocking texture here. So because of this interlocking texture only, compact and dense or massive form is available. So coarse grain texture, and granites are usually equigranular. Coarse grain and equigranular. What is the difference between coarse grain means? Coarse grain means bigger sized particles are there, and equigranular means those bigger sized particles will be of equal size. Means all the particles will be having same size, which are bigger in size. Means for example 4.75 mm if we take, that is the size of the particle. All the particles will be around 4.75 mm, and 4.75 mm is itself a coarse grained structure or coarse grained particle size. So that way these granites are having a equigranular texture and a coarse grained texture, but some show equigranular texture and are equigranular textures are called granite porphyries. Porphyries are also there, where equigranular texture and fine grained texture may be seen. Coming to appearance of the granite, if you see, So now coming to the appearance of the granites. Appearance of the granite, if you see, they are generally medium to coarse grain and grayish or pinkish in color. The color of the granite, if you see, it is grayish or pinkish in color. Then mode of occurrence and relative abundance. How much plentifully it is available and in which form it is available. So that is what we call mode of occurrence. So granite rock occurs in the form of very large igneous bodies such as batholiths. Stocks often occur in the core of the mountain ranges and thus relate to mountain building activity. So we have seen already forms of igneous rocks in the earlier videos. There we have discussed about various forms of igneous bodies. So in that we have discussed about batholiths, laccoliths, lapoliths. So these granites are intrusive igneous rock and they are available at a greater depth. So that is why they are available in the form of batholiths. The igneous body formation, if you see, they are available as batholiths and stocks, and also they occur as the cores of the mountain, or they take active part, or they take the major role in the mountain building activity. Why? Because these are the cores of the volcanic rocks. So that is why these are playing a major role in the mountain building activity. So this is the occurrence and abundance of the igneous rocks, or occurrence and abundance of the granite especially. So here also we can see all these are pictures of the granite, where we can see the pink color and white color, which indicates that or we can clearly see the feldspar and quartz which was present plentifully in the granite composition. So coming to the physical properties of granites. So what are the physical properties of granites? If you see, they are massive in nature, unstratified, dense, therefore very strong and competent. So these physical properties are very important during the exam. Granites having interlocking texture which keeps minerals firmly held, and this cohesive contributes to greater strength. More strength is achieved because of this interlocking texture. That also we have discussed earlier. Granite is either equigranular or has a porphyritic texture. Both the textures are possible here, equigranular texture and porphyritic texture. Next, since granite is massive and formed from melt, it is neither porous nor permeable. Porosity is very less, and porous nature is absent. Non-porous material it is, not permeable. Permeability is also very less. Porosity is less and permeability both are simultaneous. So why? Because it is formed from the melting of the densification or solidification of the molten magma it is formed. So that is why this porous nature and permeability is very much less here. Next, granite is very rich in silica, therefore it is very much resistant to decay. So decaying of these granite rocks are very much less. So that is the reason most of the temples which were constructed with these granites are lasting for hundreds of years together. Next, the presence of mural joints permit easy quarrying. So mural joints are present in this rock which enable easy quarrying. Next, presence of rift and grain permits easy dressing. Dressing is also be done effectively. Dressing means texture, a uniform texture will be done on the surface of the rock. That is what we call dressing. Granites having ability to take super polish and hence becoming increasingly popular for the phase of the construction. So architectural purpose also these granites are having very much importance in the market. Next, granites offer reasonable fire and frost resistance. Because of this, these rocks are free from fracture. So because of the compact and dense arrangement what we are having with granites, uh, uh, these granites offer frost resistance, and also because of the lack of fractures on the surface of the body of this rock. So that way these granites are very advantageous and useful for civil engineering purposes and architectural importance. Structures where we are building with architectural importance, and durability wise also, because of this lack of fractures they last for years together. So that is another advantage we are having with these granites. Uses of granites. So this granite is desirable as a foundation rock, building stone, road metal, railway ballast, and for flooring. So for all these purposes, especially in the civil engineering point of view, we can use greatly. These granites are used greatly all around the world. Next, in the past, it is ideally used for pillars, beams, slabs, etc. in temples and forts. If you see Golconda Fort, or if you see any other temples and Tanjore temples, if you see, all these are made up of these granites only, which are lasting for hundreds of years together. Next, moreover, being more competent rock, granites does not require any lining during tunneling operation. When we are doing tunneling also, these are quite effective and they are highly advisable to go through. Why? Because no tunneling is required and cost of the tunneling is going to be reduced greatly because of this granite rock if it is available in that particular area. So now coming to pegmatites. So these are the halocrystalline pheneric coarse grained igneous rocks with a interlocking texture. So these are holocrystalline. Crystallization is done here also partially done under pheneric coarse grained igneous rocks. Coarse grained bodies, igneous rocks with coarse grained texture, it is going to be formed, and interlocking texture is there along with this pegmatites. So many pegmatites are acidic and oversaturated. Oversaturated and acidic rocks means silica percentage is going to be more here. Silica percentage or quartz percentage is going to be more, then we say that as oversaturated. So they resemble granites in mineralogy and hence they are described as granite pegmatites we call. So why? Because the composition wise, the mineralogical composition, if we see with these pegmatites, they are same, whatever it was there with the granites, the same can be seen here with the pegmatites also. So now coming to minerals present in these pegmatites. So the mineralogical composition, if we see, pegmatites are composed of feldspar and quartz. So whatever we said is correct. So the mineralogical composition wise, they are similar with the granites. The granites are also composed of feldspar and quartz. Similarly here also the pegmatites or granite pegmatites are mainly composed of alkali, feldspar and quartz. So they may also be rich in muscovite and biotite micas. So mica is also going to be present here. Muscovite mica and biotite mica both are going to be present along with this feldspar and quartz. Tourmaline, beryl, topaz, apatite, lepidolite minerals are rich in some varieties of these pegmatites. In addition to these, rare minerals like tin, arsenic, etc. are also occurring in pegmatites. So this is also an important point is rare minerals like tin and arsenic are going to be available with this pegmatites. So those pegmatites are the storehouse of rare and valuable minerals. This is very important. These pegmatites are the store of rare and valuable minerals. Why? Because valuable and rare minerals are going to be present in these pegmatites. They are going to be available along with these normal minerals. So this is the figure we can see pegmatites. All these are pegmatites only. This is also another variety of handy specimen pegmatite. So here you can see both this is quartz portion and this is a feldspar portion. Quartz and feldspar are available in larger quantities and size also in larger size these are available. So coming to the mode of formation, how these are going to be formed if you see. So these peculiar grain size and mineralogical composition suggest that pegmatites are formed as the product of solidification of final magmatic residue which were especially rich in volatile constituents. So the mode of formation or petrogenesis, if you see the genesis of these pegmatites, they are going to be formed at the end. They are the product of solidification of final magmatic residue. The magma which was left at the end, that is going to undergo solidification process and leads to formation of these pegmatites which are specially rich in volatile constituents. So that is the reason saturated compounds are present here, saturated proportions of compounds are present here. And next one, structure and texture. If you see the structure and texture, pegmatites are rather less in occurrence but do not possess any specific structure to identify them. But texturally, the minerals are large in size and interlocked. Some of the constituent minerals develop very beautiful crystal outlines. So here, that much the composition or the minerals present are in larger quantity when coming to the pegmatites. But here, so that is the reason they are bulkily available, so we cannot identify the structure and texture for easy identification, but they are having interlocking of the minerals is there, that can be observed, and large in size. The minerals are large in size and interlocked with some beautiful arrangement, beautiful crystal arrangement is also there with this structure and texture of the pegmatites. So coming to the physical properties, like granites, these rocks are also have similar mineral content and interlocking texture. But from the civil engineering point of view, if you see, these rocks are not very much useful because of the extreme large minerals considerably influence the physical properties locally, and hence rock mass cannot have uniform throughout. So what is happening? What is the disadvantage with this pegmatites? Even though they are having same composition with the granites, if you see, the disadvantage is that these minerals are available in bulk quantity or large quantity. They are available even though they are same composition, but they are available in larger quantity. For example, granite, quartz is another one mineral and feldspar is another mineral. So quartz is available for a large area, similarly feldspar is available for a large area. So here you can see in the picture what I have shown earlier. So here you can see this is the larger quantity. So this much quantity of quartz is available. Similarly, this much quantity of feldspar is available. Similarly, this much larger quantities of quartz and feldspar are available. So which induce non-homogeneous nature. So here if you see the properties, that will be different. Here if you see the properties, that will be different. So from the civil engineering point of view, from location to location, because of this varying extent, the properties are also going to be greatly modified. So that is another disadvantage we are having with this properties of the pegmatites. Next, engineering point of view, see, pegmatites are large in size and rock mass cannot be uniform throughout. The presence of mica, which has excellent cleavage, obviously makes the rock weak. So another important thing is existence of mica in between. So because of this existence of mica in between, cleavage is going to be induced with this mica and leads to weakness along the planes in this pegmatites, whereas it is not possible with the case of granites. Next, it is unsuitable. So that is the reason it is unsuitable for building stone and undesirable at the site of foundation for major construction. However, pegmatites are economically very important due to presence of rare and valuable minerals. So even though it is not suitable as a building stone or it is a constructive material, still we are having importance with this pegmatites. Why? Because it is a warehouse of some rare varieties of minerals. So that is the reason these pegmatites are having more significance. So here you can see what we have told, large extent. So here also it is clearly visible the large extent of feldspar. This is also large extent of feldspar, and this is a large extent of quartz portions which are present in the pegmatites. So this is about quartz and feldspar. This is about pegmatites and granites. In the next video we will discuss about dolerites and basalt. Dolerites and basalt, which are also part of the igneous rocks.